winners and losers have the same goals. So obviously, it's not the goals that we need to work on. The outcome-based goals, then we have the process-based goals, and then we have the identity-based goals. Now, what's the difference between these? At one point, it just gets so good that your efforts are this and the result is this. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me Anargya, and today I'm going to be summarizing the atomic habits for you so you can understand atomic habits at an atomic level. Anyone above the age of 10 can simply view this video and understand the atomic habits no matter what you're doing and implement it in your life to make it better right this moment. So yeah, let's get started, and for more such videos please make sure to subscribe to my channel because I'll be uploading more content soon, and every day, every week, every month, something or the other does come out. So yeah, stay tuned. So Atomic Habits by James Clear is pretty much based on the fact that, our life does not change due to some overnight events that happen, but it is due to our consistent little efforts that we make along the way. That is our habits at an atomic level, at a very small microscopic level. Things that we do every day, little decisions of waking 5 minutes earlier every single day can lead us to waking up half an hour early in 6 days. So things like these over time accumulate to give us better results rather than us focusing on that one miracle, on that one day that will change our life, that will give us an epiphany and will just magically turn into our higher self. That does not happen in real life, right? So that's what this book is all about, and this will literally break down the whole program for you, how you can implement these habits and change at the very basic structure and build your habits upwards from there and see your life take off like this. Okay, so first of all, the book starts off by telling us the importance of atomic habits. Why is it important for us to change at this atomic level, and why does it have to be so structured and everything? Why can't we just decide that we want to implement this habit and just start by doing it? That is because, as human beings, obviously we know by now that it is impossible for us to change like that. We have tendencies, we have cravings, we have certain reactions, and we have certain needs and requirements that we need to fulfill one way or the other. So, it's basically very difficult for us to break a lot of habits, to implement a lot of habits, but with atomic habits, that becomes easier and quite doable. That is because if you see, making 1% of a change every single day is something that we all can do, no matter how difficult a thing is, no matter how difficult of a habit you want to, consume or start, whatever. It is very doable if you just have to do it 1% better. 1% better every day will result you into getting 37 times better at something by the end of the year. Like if you start Jan 1st by saying that you want to practice dance or singing or an instrument or a game or whatever, any skill. Let's say you start at 1 and you get 1% better every single day. By the end of the year, your skills would have improved 37 times than the thing that you started with. So we can see how big of a change that really is over the course of time. And because it's just 1% improvement every single day, it's not something you necessarily need to break your bones for. We as humans basically think that our efforts versus reality, or the efforts versus result graph should be something like this, a straight line. Well, that's not how life works. So the actual graph of life, however, is something like this. There's this one part, this area, that where the graph lies like this, where you can see that the efforts you put in are somewhat much bigger than the results that you get. And this is the part that is referred to as the Valley of Disappointment by James Clear. And you can see that basically by this he's trying to explain that a lot of people start off a lot of habits, and because they put in efforts, they put in extra efforts, they give hours and hours for a day, right, and they just see that no results are showing up, they see that nothing's really happening, and just because they can't see tangible results, they give up. In this Valley of Disappointment, 99% of the people give up within this much time, and it's the 1% people who get through this time see result that goes like this at the end. It's like at one point it just gets so good that your efforts are this and the result is this. And now, before we get into the actual crux of the book, where it discusses how to make habits, break habits, improve habits, etc., we need to familiarize ourselves with a few terms first. We talk about goals, and then there's systems. Now we need to compare these two and understand which one is actually more implementable. So basically, when we're talking about goals, obviously it is something that is related to the outcome. We talk about having a goal. My goal is to hit basically like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, for example. That is my goal. But a system talks about actions that you want to take in order to get to some place, or it's basically an action plan. Like goal is to get successful. The action plan, however, is the system that we're talking about right now. Yeah, so basically we need to understand the difference between them, and we need to understand what do we need to focus on. Do we need to focus on the goals or the systems? See, the goal is the end game. The goal is not in our hands. Whether I hit 1,000 subscribers this month, next year, or next decade, that's not up to me. But planning for it, working for it, posting for it, that is up to me, right? And here's the thing, winners and losers have the same goals. So obviously it's not the goals that we need to work on. It's the systems that are different. Winners have proper systems planned out about very little things that they need to work on, very little things that they need to improve in order to get better. Whereas the losers, they just have goals. I'm so sorry. They don't have any systems. They don't have any action plans for it, right? So therefore, we need to focus on our system rather than our goals. Having a goal, having a long-term thing figured out is good, but to focus on it entirely and not to think of the present is completely stupid. You don't need to constantly think about, oh my god, I need to hit 1,000 subscribers, 1K subscribers, I need to get monetized, etc., etc. No. You thought of it, okay, yeah, this is something I have to do, but the thing you need to focus on is what I have to do to achieve that. And then we also have like 3 types of goals, or basically we can say 3 layers of goals. First of all, we have the outcome-based goals, then we have the process-based goals, and then we have the identity-based goals. Now, what's the difference between these? First of all, the outcome-based goals, these are the goals that are dependent on obviously the outcome, the end result, like hitting the 1,000 subscribers or getting the monetization done, getting my first check. That is an outcome-based goal. What's a process-based goal? It's obviously the process that you need to do. Like posting more YouTube videos. This is a process-based goal. Like my goal is to make more YouTube videos. And then we have an identity-based goal, which is to become a YouTuber. To become a monetized YouTuber, a successful YouTuber, or however you want to put it. We can use the example of basically playing an instrument. Your outcome-based goal is to learn how to play a guitar, but the identity-based goal is to become a guitarist. You have to focus on the identity level goals. Why? Because when we identify ourselves with a sort of behavior or a personality or something, we sort of become loyal to it. As humans, we do. It's a tendency, and I have observed this in real life as well. So this is pretty true. Now, let's get into the interesting part. Making habits. Law 1. Make it obvious. So first we need to understand the habit loop, which talks about cue, craving, response, reward. Now what's the cue? Let's take an example. The cue is you get a notification from your phone. Your craving is you want to see what the notification is. Your response is you pick up your phone, you turn it on, you see the notification, you unlock, and you respond to whatever message, like, comment, or whatever it is that you get. The reward is that now you feel satisfied enough because you checked your messages or whatever. And that's how it continues on. Basically, for every habit, you have a cue, craving, response, and reward. And this one cue basically gets directly involved with the reward. Basically, if you're on your phone and now you checked your text, now that will link into you going to Instagram to check your likes, your status, your story views, whatever. Or it will link to you going on Facebook or Pinterest or Snapchat. That is how the loop carries on, and this basically goes on until you just take a minute to realize that, oh my god, I've been on my phone for like the last 30 minutes, and that's how you waste 30 minutes very perfectly, neatly, without even realizing it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to write down all your habits. For example, start with waking up from bed, checking phone for the time, or maybe scrolling or whatever, then brushing my teeth, then freshening up, then putting on clothes for work, then breakfast. Write down all your habits, and now once you've done that, once you've done like every habit of yours within the whole sequence, write either a plus, a minus, or an equal to next to it. The plus indicates that it's a good habit. It is something that should be there. The minus indicates it's something that needs to be removed because it's not good, it's not serving you, and there is a downside to it. A neutral habit is something that is not necessarily good, but it's not even doing you any harm. Now that you have a timetable, you have a whole timetable, right? So now you're going to specify the time and place of what you're going to be doing your habits at. For example, wake up at this time in my bed. Then going to brush for 15 minutes for this, or whatever. For example, if you want to add this habit of reading a book, don't just add like, okay, read a book. No. Say I'm gonna read 5 pages of a book at 11 o'clock at my table or something. Like I'm just trying to be more specific here, and that's what you need to do as well. Now that you have a scorecard of your habits, you need to make a scorecard about what it should look like, and then you can start off with very little changes. Start one by one, maybe one habit at a time, one habit a day, or maybe very little improvements in each of the habits. However you feel comfortable, or however it is that suits you. Just make sure don't overburden yourself, or don't push yourself so hard that you fall off. And once you start doing that, then you can even work on this to stack your habits, a habit stacking routine, which is you can take an existing habit and then add a habit to it which you want to have. For example, you have this habit of brushing your teeth, obviously. Now with that, you can add like, after I brush my teeth at this time in my washroom, I will take a glass of water. Maybe because you're consuming less water or something, make it very simple yet very specific, so that you can work your way through it. And that's how habit looping or stacking works. Now let's talk about the very famous term motivation versus environment. We keep talking about motivation versus discipline. We say that motivation is temporary, discipline is permanent. Motivation will last you for a day or two, but discipline will take you to different places. But obviously, being disciplined and implementing discipline is not easy. So we're going to talk about environment. An environment is just the things that you're surrounded with. It can be a room, it can be your office place, or anything or anyone that you surround yourself with is your environment. And your environment can actually get you motivated, or get you in the mood to work, whereas motivation is temporary. Again, it may or may not be with you. However, an environment will certainly uplift or bring you down, depending on how your environment is and what do you want to do actually with your life. For example, if you want to stop checking your phone, but you keep your phone in your pocket all the time, or your phone is not on silent or not on do not disturb, or you have all your notifications on, obviously your environment is not equal to your goal. So obviously you will not be able to implement that habit. Whereas if your goal is to stop checking your phone every once in a while, you will put your phone on do not disturb every time you are working, or you will keep your phone in a separate room or maybe away from you. Now, the habit that you want to delete is you eating a lot of snacks, but snacks are lying at your place all the time. Like, that is so bloody obvious that you need to remove the snacks from your place. You need to stop buying this tons of snacks, maybe one or two, or maybe just reducing the amount, but you need to take some sort of chances. You need to keep the snacks away so that you're not watching them all the time. You don't need to keep it in your fridge where you see it every time you open up and you're like, oh my god, yeah, I have to eat this pack of noodles. And also, one thing about environment is the relationship that you have to a specific thing. For example, the book uses the example of a couch. For a lot of people, a couch might just be a place to relax, to watch Netflix, to chill, or even sleep. But for a lot of people, the couch is the place where they get their work done. So, it's not about having a couch in your room, whether it's healthy or not, safe or not, applicable or not. It's about your relationship to that specific thing. For example, a lot of people sleep on their beds. I hope a lot of people do. And for a lot of people, they get their work done in their bed, which is not possible, because once your brain has associated the bed with sleeping, every time you get try to get your work done inside the bed while you're laying on bed, it will be impossible because your brain will subconsciously, be asleep, or it will try to be at rest. So that's why you need to like segregate your spaces and make everything a very separate space in your house so that you can get your work done and chill and get everything done in the same way it needs to be done. When you go to the gym, it's easier for you to exercise, but not at home, because the whole point. And the same you have to do for breaking a bad habit in the opposite direction. For example, if you want to break a habit, you want to make it invisible, just like we talked about, right? So law 2, make it attractive. It's obviously said that the more rewarding a habit is, the more likely you are to do it. If it feels good, you'll do it again. Once you do it again, it becomes a loop. Once it becomes a loop, it's a habit. It's natural for you to act like that, and you don't even have to try. Again, I'm sorry. So basically what you have to do when we're talking about attractive habits, we're talking about dopamine, which is C2H11NO2. I have this written down because I did study chemistry in high school, although I don't remember any of it. So obviously we are familiar with the term dopamine. It's an enzyme. It is responsible for our neurological functions, including very obviously motivation, but it's also connected to our memory, punishments, and a lot of different things. Basically it helps with a lot of different neurological functions other than the motivation part. So dopamine rush or dopamine spikes is something that we're familiar with, and in the book it also says that you get the dopamine spike right before you do something, not after you do something. That's not when you get the dopamine spike. That's when you get the relaxation part. That's when you get the reward. The reward is not the dopamine spike. The craving is what causes the dopamine spike. It also talks about how gambling addicts, they have the dopamine spike before they place the bet, not after when they win or lose. That's not when they get that dopamine rush, right? So that's what we need to work on, the cue and the craving. We need to eliminate the cue so that the craving part does not happen, because it's more difficult to understand and then work our way through the craving. We can just remove it. Obviously now the question is, how do we make our habits more attractive? And you can do this by a few simple steps. First of all is a specific formula: habit that you need to do plus habit that you want to do. Something that you need to do, basically getting your workout done, maybe maybe like going on a treadmill for 30 minutes is your daily goal, right? Pair it with something that you want to do. Maybe listening to a specific music artist, or a podcast, or maybe watching a Netflix episode. And you can implement the same thing to a lot of different activities as well. Anything that is maybe possible with the multitasking, you can program your brain very easily to do that. And this is like the most effective and the easiest exercise to do, honestly, because I've done it so many times with so many different things that it is practically one of the best and most easily implementable advice. We need to be surrounded with people who either have those habits or will appreciate those habits or will participate in those habits. We need to have these people around us. If the people around us will condemn our habits, or will make fun of us for having those habits, or basically, just tell us to humble down or whatever, like, you don't need to be surrounded by those people, honey. Like, they are not treating you well, and they are definitely bringing you down. So level up and surround yourself with people who have the same habits as you, or want to have the same habit as you. We need to highlight the long-term goals rather than short-term goals of a habit, and this works both ways. Even for a good habit or a bad habit or a neutral habit, you need to focus on the long-term goals. If the long-term goal is good, that is the habit you need to have, and if the long-term goal is bad, you need to eliminate it, and that's how you do it. Law 3, make it easy. And the problem over here is that our approach is wrong. When we're talking about making or breaking habits, we talk about the amount of time it will take for us to change a habit, but that's not how it works. It works based on the number of times you repeat it, the repetitions. If you're doing something once a week and you're wondering how long will it will take you maybe more time than someone who's doing it 3 times a week or every day a week, obviously. So we need to focus on the number of repetitions rather than the amount of time taken. That is how you make it more accessible to your brain, right? And then we need to focus on a few things. Friction, first of all. In a habit, obviously there will be some sort of friction that will stop you from doing it. Now you have to decide whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. This works both ways. If there's a good habit, then you have to decrease the friction, obviously. If it's a bad habit, you just need to increase the friction. It works both ways, and it will help you make and break habits at the same time. Example given. For example, you need to go to the gym, right? You need to start going to the gym. Now, this is your house, this is one gym, this is gym 2, and this is your workplace. If you go to this gym, chances are you will never go to gym. You will go to gym once a week when it's accessible or whenever you feel like it. Most of the times you won't, straight up. But if you're going to a gym that is just located within your route to work, you're more likely to attend gym. In fact, whenever you're passing by it, you'll feel like, oh my god, let me just hit the gym real quick. Also, there are some things like the 2-minute rule. If it is very difficult for you to actually repeat an exercise or a habit or whatever, or it's very difficult for you to get started, just use the 2-minute rule, which shows that rather than doing something on a full timetable, just do a 2-minute version of the thing that you want to do. For example, if you want to dance, again, your 2-minute version would be to start warming up or stretching if that's something that you're struggling with again. Or if your goal is to again hit 1,000 subscribers, your 2-minute version of it would be to practice some ideas, or maybe write down your ideas, or maybe check out your YouTube studio for some sort of input about your audience or something. Rule number 4, or law 4, make it satisfying. Once you've made it obvious, you've made it easy, you've made it attractive, now the 4th law is to make it satisfying, because the attractive part will get you to do it once. The satisfying part will get you to do that habit over and over and over again until it becomes an actual habit. So fake it till you make it. So this is the most important part. Once you've actually started to do something, or you are starting to do something, then you have to make that repeat in order to make it a habit. And that is where the satisfaction part comes in. If you feel that reward, if you feel the satisfaction, you will repeat the whole cue, craving, response, reward. Now obviously you have to use this up to your favor. So for every good habit, you need to make it satisfying, and every bad habit, you need to make it dissatisfying in some way or the other, so that you are least likely to repeat that. Now how do you do that? Here's the thing, we know that bad habits give you instant rewards and in the long run are bad for you. However, good habits instantly don't feel so good, but in the long term, they're good for you. We just talked about that. But now, there's no way we can just magically make the good habit seem good in the short run. And you can just reward yourself for every time you do a good habit. For example, you can use either paper clips, you can make to-do lists. That is actually very helpful. Every day when you wake up, just make a simple to-do list of all the things that you need to do, things that you are troubled with, specifically things that you find trouble doing. Just make a list of all the things that you need to do and tick them off. And it might seem childish, or it might seem like whatever, but trust me, it makes all the difference you need. It is actually as simple as that. You can use paper clips, you can make a habit tracking thing, or you can do it on your notes app. You can make different apps. You can make it as creative as you can. Also, whenever you feel like you're low on the motivation, or some days it just gets difficult, remember that showing up is better than losing your day for the work. For example, again, if I take the example of gym or exercising, if you're doing it every single day and you miss it for 2 days because you were ill or because you were out of town or something, chances are it will be very difficult for you to get back on track again and continue that, and you will most probably break the cycle. Because just let's say you are taking the days off a calendar. If you miss 2 days, you will not want to do that ticking again. It kind of breaks the chain, and breaking the chain is the most devious thing you can do to yourself. It is actually way more difficult to start again rather than to start first. If you're sick and you can't work out or something, just do 10 push-ups. Maybe do a 2-minute version or a 20-minute version of it, depending on your capability. But do something, just show up. Showing up is very important. Even if you don't get as much of work done, being there and getting to tick off that thing off your list will make all the difference you need. And this is where 99% of the people give up. Again, for breaking a bad habit, what you can do is you can have an accountability partner. This is what the book talks about. Basically, you have someone that will hold you accountable every time you don't do a habit or you do a bad habit or something. You can hold yourself accountable, again, verbally or through punishment. You can make, like, basically you can keep a dollar jar or something, and you can put a dollar inside it every time you do something that you weren't supposed to do, or every time you don't do something that you were supposed to do. So yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of this video. I've just recorded, I finished the recording, and I have no idea how long this is. I will have to do it and edit it and cut short so that I can fit it all into one video and actually post it and not make it too long and people actually watch it. And if you did watch it till this very moment, I love you for doing that. So please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. If you haven't already, this is a sign you need to subscribe. So yeah, I'll see you until next time, and bye bye, toodles.